Good morning. It's May 15th. It's a beautiful morning. I thought we'd give you a quick tour of our front yard foodscape, show you what we're growing, and include some tips. We got some pests to talk about, some tips on how you can grow more food and get started early. Like I said, it's the middle of May now, so it's really a pretty exciting time. Spring is exciting for everything. You know, things start to really grow. You see a lot of early growth. But now we're starting to get to a much higher harvest rate too. We've been picking leafy greens now for 3 to 4 weeks with spinach, lettuce. We've got kale and collards, other leafy greens. But now is when it really kind of takes off with some other crops. So let me flip the camera around and we'll take a quick tour and I'll try to get some tips in there. So here we go. So in this bed on the end here, we've got lettuce. I like to grow different varieties that have a lot of color. There's 5 different varieties in there, and you can see we can mix the color in. And then behind that, we have fava beans, and they're flowering, looking good. It's our first time growing fava beans, so we're excited about that. And this bed particularly got an early start with a low tunnel. That we have kind of like a little greenhouse. It has plastic over it, or you can put like a row cover type thing. Here we've got some peas growing up this cattle panel arch trellis, and then these are T-posts that we use to attach it. So these are dwarf peas, which we like because they'll only grow a couple feet tall and then they already start producing. So they give us some early peas. We've got some other peas that are a tall variety, so we'll eat those after these are done harvesting. So this is just now getting started. We're pretty excited about the peas. I love peas. Here we have celery. This is the first year growing celery. It's going pretty well so far, but it's a little harder to grow in Utah because it doesn't like the heat too much. So it loves this cool spring weather, but we're gonna see what happens when the heat really starts up. So here's 3 rows of carrots and some onions, row of onions. Here we've got a row of beets. And one of the pests I wanted to talk about, this has leaf miner. You can see the leaf miner damage on there. For beets, we don't really eat the leaves, so we're not too concerned about it. We can still get a really good harvest. But on something like spinach, we can show you in a minute, you can see it can do a number on the leaves. Let me see if I can find some eggs. Yeah, here you go. So that is the leaf miner egg. And on something like spinach, what we do is just rub that egg off and smash it. And with beets, we don't worry about it as much, but if it's spinach or Swiss chard, they also like a lot, or other leafy greens, we actually eat the leaf. We come out and scout and just try to rub those off. Try to stay on top of it, and you can still get a really good harvest. It's not that they're not edible when they have the damage either. Here's some more peas. It's another variety. Here's a couple broccoli plants, and you can see this one's starting to produce a crop. So we're pretty excited about that, the broccoli. But another pest, well, 2 more pests to talk about here. Here you can see some cat damage, and they really love the fresh compost. So one thing that we do sometimes is use cayenne pepper, but this can really wreak havoc if you have fresh seeds in there. So most of our stuff we grow from transplants, but if we've got a seed bed, we can use cayenne pepper, or there might be some other tips. The only guarantee for animals is some kind of physical barrier like a fence, but we've never really wanted to put that in here. So we find with the cayenne, we can keep them off long enough, and once the plants get big, they don't bother it too much, and this space will fill in, right? And here's another pest, super surprising, but we've got a lot of a lot of damage from ants this year, and I think it's weather related. You can see what happened here is the ants ate the stem off of this broccoli. So where the other broccoli is doing great, about to produce its crop, the ants took this one out. And I think, we had the driest April in over 100 years here. And I think that really allowed the ants to build up, particularly in raised beds. Typically, we don't have problems. I mean, they're more of a nuisance than anything. The ants don't really bother anything typically. Okay, taking a look at this bed, you can see more lettuce, some spinach there on the end. This is a pepper plant. And you can see we have 3 what I call wall of waters. I think Season Extender is actually the brand on these. But everything's kind of a trial or an experiment in our foodscape. I really like to try different things out. So what we've done here is we have 3 peppers that are inside that protected area. And the water keeps it warmer in there at night, particularly, and the soil warmer. And then we have 3 peppers that aren't in there. So the idea is to compare and see what kind of difference it makes for harvest. In between the peppers there we have celery. And let's take a look at the peppers here. So this one you can see is thinking about a fruit there. It already flowered a little bit, but I think this one's a little further along. You've got more fruit developing and more flowering. So hopefully this year we'll get an idea of how much difference it makes. So we got 3 in and 3 out. And these 2 tomatoes are doing pretty well. And they started early too, and also in that wall of water type thing. So in between, like I said, we have celery and peppers. And you can see I've got the spinach really close. So what we'll do is the spinach is almost done for the year actually already. So they'll come out pretty soon to make more room for the peppers and the celery. And then behind it here, we've got cilantro and marigold and basil. And the basil doesn't like this cool weather too much, so it's yellowing a little bit. A little bit more celery. We've got some garlic on the end here. This is a tomato that we just planted. And then let's take you over to what we call phase 2, which is the other side here. We've got some newly planted lavender here in the front. And then these are the peas that are the tall variety that I was talking about. So they haven't flowered yet. You can see they're already getting taller, but they'll go ahead and grow up the trellis here, and then they'll flower and they'll have a much bigger harvest, but it takes a lot longer. So here's hazelnuts, and on this side we've got a lot of brassicas going. Here we've got turnip. We had radish in the middle that's already harvesting and most of it's out. And then a row of carrots. And then dill mixed in there, you can see, but with the brassicas, we've got more broccoli, collards. Behind it here, this is kohlrabi. You can see it's gonna make a kohlrabi ball there. And then we've got cabbage. We like to grow smaller cabbages, faster maturing varieties, so we can grow something else there after. More broccoli and collards and dill. The flowers there, well, I mean, it's not a flower yet, but that's an nasturtium. Like to always interplant a bunch of flowers. And this side's kind of a mirror of that side. Another nut tree here. This is a all-in-one almond, dwarf almond tree. And then here, another new thing for this year is leeks. So those are leeks around it, and then kale in the middle. This is one that we call dinosaur kale. So that's going to get quite a bit bigger. Hopefully it'll look nice. While we're here, let's take a look at the Belgian fence of apples. This might be our favorite espalier, right? It's a Belgian fence. And I just got done thinning the fruit. We're going to have some apples on it. It's not going to be a full harvest of the whole thing, but we've got some apples coming in. And if you want to learn more about espalier or how to grow fruit trees, we've got YouTube videos on that. And also one thing that we're going to be doing in the next few days is putting organza bags on our apples and pears to protect them from codling moth, which is what produces the worm when people talk about apple worms in my apples or pears. So if you want to learn more about how to do that, you can check out our video. The other fruit trees here in the middle there, those are pluots. Let's see if we can take a peek at a pluot here. I think there is one under here. Yeah, they're always hard to find because they're green. This one is unpollinated, so that just comes off, but that's the pluot there. Just got done thinning those. We're super excited. They're delicious. They're amazing. Here's a little mini apple that we keep really small with summer pruning. We got a video showing how to do that. We really like to keep our fruit trees small. It just makes them a lot more manageable and easier. You're not overwhelmed with too much fruit all at once. So we like to keep them small and then plant more trees. So this one's producing apples. Here's nectarine, heavenly white nectarine. And here's our pear tree, Haro Delight. It's a Bartlett type pear that has a little bit of disease resistance. So it makes a delicious pear. That's one of our favorite trees. This is honeyberry. And those should be about ripe right now. Yeah, we've been harvesting a few of those. They're pretty good. It's a nice substitute for blueberries, which are really hard to grow here. Here's an apple espalier. This is an Asian pear and a European pear. And we're gonna have a ton of fruit on this Asian pear too. And here's our almond. And the almonds we let get a lot bigger because you don't have to, you can shake the tree and the almonds come down, so you don't have to prune and worry about the fruit at the top. So we don't mind if they get big. And we also planted it on the west side of our house here to shade that window there, keep it from getting so hot in there. But you can see here's the developing almonds. So I hope you enjoyed the tour, for lots more tips and to see more footage of our front yard foodscape and learn how we grow a lot of food here, check out foodscapingutah.org, and thanks for watching Foodscaping Utah, and grow your own.